Now, what determines whether it's going to be a sharky year? Because you mentioned the waters being warm. Is that one of the factors?
Yeah, that is one of the factors for both Makos and white sharks. So I think you'll see that there are a lot of white sharks in Southern California this year as well.
Oh, Lord. So I'm curious to know what drew you to ocean and marine conservation. Because as a girly girl, I'm like, oh my goodness, girl. First of all, it would be about the hair and the makeup and the lashes. I'd be like, oh no,
Okay, can I say
I
to
can't.
you, I'm going to answer that girly girl thing. Every year when I'm on the boat with like basically 16 guys, I am like, how did I make it so that the one time of year that I'm on camera is while I'm on a boat sharing a tiny little, they call it a head on a boat, the bathroom.
Hmm.
There's basically like no mirrors. This year it was much better actually, but you have this tiny mirror, you have a bathroom line of like 16 people in the morning. You're getting in and out of the water with like snot off your face. Your hair looks crazy, and I'm like, why did I decide that this is the time that I should be filmed? So yeah, I'm with you actually. I don't know. You just have to go like, this is cool, and I'll look however I will look, and then you watch the footage after, and you go, okay, that turned out fine, or you're like, that was not a good moment. So
Well, what drew you to this line of work, and as opposed to just being in a lab and strictly dealing with the science of it all?
yeah, that wouldn't be fun at all. So basically, I got my undergrad in environmental science and was very interested in marine biology. And then the only jobs that I was getting offered were basically lab jobs. And I was like, I didn't get into this to sit in the lab all day. So
Mm.
I got an internship when I was still in college. I was 19 at Discovery Channel. And I was like, this is actually really fun. I didn't realize that working at Discovery, it was more of a network. They didn't go out in the field themselves. They have like production companies that make the shows. And then I transferred to working for production companies, doing more like Animal Planet shows. I did one with the Cousteau family that was looking for shipwrecks. And so it wasn't exactly science, but it got me out into the field doing exploration, which I loved. And then I ended up in the British Virgin Islands and co-founded a nonprofit there called Beyond the Reef because there was just a huge lack of any sort of scientific data, ocean conservation. This was after Hurricanes Irma and Maria kind of decimated the islands, and we turned some derelict vessels into large art projects and sank them as artificial coral reef. And from there, it just kind of grew. Our relationship with the government and community became even better, and they sort of became reliant on this. And I got my master's in marine biology just to, further understand exactly how you should be doing science. I think I don't know how much I learned in my master's actually, because I'd been doing this for a long time, learning it on my own anyway, but it was good to go back and get the official kind of, credibility of the scientific method and how to write or publish papers, for example.
That's very, very impressive. I'm so impressed by you. I really am. And I was excited to talk to you today. Since you brought up Beyond the Reef, can you tell me a little bit more about some of the other things that you guys are currently working on?
Yeah, so we do shark research. We do cetacean research, which is whales, dolphins. Occasionally, we'll get a manatee come through, which there used to be manatees there until the 70s. They got pretty hunted, so there hasn't really been a consistent population, but we get an occasional one that comes back now.
Hmm.
Our team also does a lot of coral research, monitoring. Stony coral tissue loss disease was a disease that the Caribbean and Florida have had. It's getting a little bit better now, but we would actually treat the corals with an antibiotic paste. We do community beach cleanups, ghost fishing gear removal. So if there's large nets, they're usually not from our fishermen. They're from large commercial vessels, which we don't have there. They end up just floating in, catching on our coral reefs, entangling our dolphins, whales, smothering coral. So we'll go in and remove all of those, sometimes by hand with a knife, sometimes if it's a huge net by barge and crane, remove those. We do a lot of kids camps, community education, so a tremendous amount of just research and also ocean conservation work.
It seems like it's very, very important and necessary work. And I wanted to make sure that during the course of our conversation that I asked you about it, because I know it's something that's important to you and something that
It
you're
is,
extremely
yes.
passionate about.
Yeah.
So when people watch the biggest Mako on earth, what is going to be the one of the things that you think is going to shock viewers the most?
So you never know what parts make it and what parts don't, but I do think Tristan's ghost cage is going to be really cool to see because I saw some of the footage of that once camera came back up on the boat. It's really fun actually. We live aboard on one of the boats while we're out there, and so we film late into the evening, and then we all come back on the boat, take our potential showers. Most of the guys never take a shower. I shower if I've been in the water. It's a little tiny shower, so nobody really wants to. And then we actually put the footage up on the screen and we get to watch it. And I think Tristan's ghost cage footage is going to be really cool to see.
I just find that we're living in a time where nature and conserving nature and all those components that make up nature, whether it's above the water or below the water, is becoming endangered, so to speak. Do you have any thoughts about that?
But yeah, you have really sad moments, and then you have moments that are undescribable, where you'll see like a humpback whale swimming with a pod of 100 bottlenose dolphins, and it's just like so spectacular to watch their interactions and so beautiful and hopeful. So I think getting to watch the kids camps that we do, like getting to see the kids when they're snorkeling for their first time, or seeing them get excited about an animal in the wild for the first time, I think is really it's hard to put a value on that because that's as it's corny to say, but it is like the next generation is always the stewards. So it is a thing where yeah, so many hopeful moments and so many not hopeful moments. So much of it honestly comes down to just having the research, and also very often the political willpower to do something to preserve it. So much of it comes down to the laws that we put in place. And at least in the BVI, one of the things we do is try to collect data to then inform policy. And it's a good relationship there. It's pretty heartwarming to see that your data can actually make an impact so easily. That's something that I love working in the Caribbean is, you get to be much closer to your politicians because it's a tiny island nation versus somewhere like the US. It's much harder to go, hey, I did this research on whales. I'm going to go show it to our president. Like you can't quite do that there like you can in the BVI. But yeah, there's always moments of hope and always moments that are quite sad. I think that's maybe the case in any industry, but especially the ocean. So
I love it. Kendyl, thank you so, so very much for giving me a slice of your time today. I really enjoyed our conversation and I was enlightened and educated along the way. So thank you so much.
good. Thank you so much. It was nice to talk to you, Carla.
Same here. Bye.
Bye.
Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.